I'd now like to offer Father Sicard the podium for the invocation.
Good and gracious God, we gather here today to honor and celebrate these dedicated graduates who have committed themselves to serve and protect our nation. We thank you for guiding them through their rigorous training and for bestowing upon them the strength, wisdom, and perseverance needed to reach this significant milestone. Ever mindful of the cost paid for the liberty we possess, we ask your blessings upon these new officers as they embark on their journey of leadership and service. Fill them with your divine wisdom and courage that they may lead with integrity, compassion, and a steadfast commitment to justice and peace. We pray for their safety and protection as they stand ready to defend the freedoms we hold dear. May they always be mindful of their duty to uphold the dignity of every person and to act with honor and humility. May they find joy and honor in the special role they play. Bless their families and loved ones who have supported them with unwavering faith and love. Grant them peace and assurance, knowing that their sacrifices contribute to a greater good. As we celebrate this momentous occasion, we entrust these new leaders into your loving care. Be their power, protector, and strength, and in times of adversity, keep them safe from harm. And we make this prayer in your holy name. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen.
Please be seated. At this time, I would like to welcome our honored guests. Brigadier General Andrew J. Chevalier, Land Component Commander, Rhode Island National Guard. Miss Ann Manchester Moloch, Executive Vice President of Providence College. Dr. Sean Reed, Provost and Senior Vice President, Academic Affairs, Providence College. Mr. Christian Mack Manning, Program Director of Military Affiliated Students at Brown University. Dr. Carolyn Masters, Interim Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs, Rhode Island College. And Dr. Kenneth Sousa, Associate Professor of Information Systems and Analytics, Bryant University. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Professor of Military Science, Lieutenant Colonel Jason Knaib.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, family, friends, and our newest group of officers. Thank you for joining us today for the 2024 Spring Commissioning Ceremony of the Patriot Battalion ROTC program. It is indeed an honor to be here for such a milestone in the lives of these young leaders. First, I want to take a moment to thank the families and friends of the young men and women we are honoring today. Whether you realize it or not, you have made a great contribution to our nation through your influence, guidance to these young cadets. Long before they arrived to their college or university, you instilled in them the value of discipline, hard work, and the importance of service to our nation. Without you, these cadets would not be sitting here today. I also want to take a moment to recognize the faculty and staff of our 5 great institutions for all of their hard work and contributions. Each of you invested your time, knowledge, skills, and energy into educating and preparing these cadets to truly be all that they could be. We cannot thank you enough for your help to prepare these future leaders. Cadets, you owe much to the people gathered here who have helped you to get this far, but I don't want to diminish what you have done in your journey because it is indeed a great achievement. You've managed the responsibilities of ROTC while balancing full class schedules, an enormous task. Each of you have completed increasingly rigorous courses, faced challenging environments, solved complex problems, and developed the highest critical skills, all things necessary to lead in the Army of tomorrow and beyond. Each of you not only braved the storms, but put in the work to excel. You all should be proud of your accomplishments. Today, the Army passes the mantle of leadership and trust to these new officers. The oath is directly linked to a set of ideals and values you will be required to uphold. It is a pledge, an unconditional commitment of service in the United States Army to support and defend the Constitution. Cadets, today you will take the solemn oath, and the future of soldiers in our nation now rests in your hands. An Army of America's young men and women look forward to your leadership, to challenge them, develop them, and help them realize their potential. I don't have to tell you the gravity of the responsibility that you've been given. Leadership is not easy. Nothing worth in life ever is. General Douglas MacArthur said, "A true leader has the confidence to make tough decisions and the compassion to listen to the needs of others." In your new role, you will be called upon to make decisions that will influence those above you and below you. Your advice, guidance, and voice will carry weight. Your mere presence will exert influence. So be certain to use that influence for the greater good. Make your voice the catalyst that inspires others towards leadership excellence. The Army's greatest strength is our people, and developing relationships is an essential part of leadership. Seek mindful mentors and look for leaders who will push you beyond your limits, because those are the leaders who will help you grow. Empower your soldiers, show them you value their input. Work to build diverse teams and to create an environment where your soldiers feel that they can contribute and they're value added. President Kennedy once said leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. Never stop learning. Graduation and commissioning are not the end, but rather the beginning of a journey of learning and growth. You must be lifelong learners to achieve success in our Army, so continue to study and learn. The journey ahead of you is about selfless service. Those here who serve or have served can tell you the lifetime impacts and benefits of service to our nation. The Army is unparalleled in its ability to unlock a person's full potential. So tell your Army story whenever you can. Thank you for making the decision to serve. Congratulations on becoming a leader in our exceptional Army team. Work hard, remain focused, and uphold the standard your gold bar now represents. Leadership, excellence, be all you can be.
Today's guest speaker is retired Colonel Leo Paisher. Mr. Paisher commissioned in May 1987 through the United States Army ROTC program at the Citadel. He retired as a colonel in November 2015 and still actively enjoys his career that spans 37 years as an Army officer, civil servant, and member of the Defense Intelligence Senior Executive Service. He currently serves as a Deputy Chief of an international partnership organization within the Department of Defense, where he leads an executive-level foreign engagements to enable decisive advantage in competition, crisis, and conflict. He served in a variety of staff and leadership assignments throughout his 28 years of military service, culminating with roles as Director of DoD Intelligence Center, Senior Operations Officer of a National Operations Center, and Associate Director of Intelligence at the United States Cyber Command. Mr. Paisher's education includes a Bachelor's of Arts from the Citadel and several graduate degrees. Notable awards include the Defense Superior Service Medal, Legion of Merit, and Bronze Star. Mr. Paisher is a native of Webster, Massachusetts. He currently resides in Davidsonville, Maryland, with his spouse, Betsy. They have 2 children, to include their son, soon to commission, Second Lieutenant Leo Paisher from Brown University, 2 dogs, and 14 goldfish. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to today's guest speaker, retired Colonel Leo Paisher.
Thank you. Let's see if I can find this. So first, thank you for being so gracious, and I can't tell you that's probably the only laugh you're going to get from me. I'm so thrilled that the 14 goldfish got through the pre-publication process at my organization. And well, I'll go from there. So look, it's not lost on me that today is a beautiful day. I'm regretting I didn't wear sunscreen already. We have people standing in the back, and this is an incredibly beautiful venue. And so thank you to Providence College. Thank you to the Patriot Battalion leadership and cadre for putting this all together. And if you wouldn't mind, let's just take a pause to give them a round of applause before we go on. So I am going to, if you think I'm flying through this, I am, and it's only because I'm thinking about you. But I really wanted to say a few things to the soon-to-be second lieutenants that are sitting up here on the stage. Because I received a text from my son about 1600 last night and saying, this is what you should talk about. And so I tried to put something together, and so please bear with me as I walk through this, because I think there's some key points that are important for them as they start on their journey. So look, I want to thank the Patriot Battalion again for inviting me to do this. I mean, it is an incredible event. I especially appreciated the opportunity to reflect over the last 37 years, because that's when I was commissioned, 1 year and 1 week from today, almost. And I thought back, and I was trying to remember what I remembered about that moment. And I remember the location. It was in Mark Clark Hall. I remember my parents that were there. I remember the oath. I remember my parents pinning on my rank. And I remember my first salute. Now, I take time to explain that or to describe that to you because your lives, and I think our lives, are relationships and experiences. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. But those were formative experiences for me, and I don't remember anything else. I certainly don't remember who the guest speaker was or who or what the guest speaker said. Right? And so I'm trying to be mindful as I go through this. Let's see. This ceremony is a significant ceremony, and it's full of tradition. I already mentioned the oath, the pinning on of the rank, and the first salute. They're all significant traditions, and hopefully we will continue to carry them on as an Army. And I want to recognize also the new authority and responsibilities as commissioned officers in the United States Army, but also the Army National Guard and the Army Reserve. And anyone who's served in the global war on terror over the last couple decades knows that we could not have done what we did over that length of time without three components. So thank you for those that are serving in the National Guard and the U.S. and the Army Reserve. I'm going to talk a little bit about leadership, and I'm only going to talk just a couple words, but then I'm going to talk about the relationships and experiences, which I already addressed. On the leadership, I suspect, or I'm making assumptions, that you've already had a number of classes on leadership. You've learned about the sources of leadership and competence and knowledge, right? I'm going to talk to you about a little different way, and I really struggled with whether or not I was going to say this, but I've learned this lesson so many times, and I've watched so many lieutenants learn this lesson too. Leadership is about people. Focus on your soldiers, prioritize time for them, and treat them well. It is not about memorandums. It's not about spreadsheets. It's not about a PowerPoint slide. It's not about trucks. It's not about tanks. It's not about Blackhawks. It's not about anything. It's about people. And I'm telling you, when you get to your first unit, you're going to feel this incredible energy, this polarity pulling you to that, because that's going to be an expectation from your boss. In some cases, that's what you're going to be rated on, but that's not why you're here. You have to do those things. That's part of the Army, but your real focus should be on your soldiers. If you remember nothing else from what I have to say today, is remember about the focus on your people, on your soldiers. You can't do that behind a desk. You can only do that when you're engaging them. Some other things I think that are important. I want to talk a little bit about feedback. Seek feedback from everyone to identify areas for improvement. Respect everyone's perspective, whether you agree with it or not, and that will serve you well. You will grow as a leader if you listen to the things that might be hurtful. It's what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, that will make you a better leader. Likewise, provide feedback all the time on all topics, good and bad. Don't just provide feedback when something goes wrong. Because I promise you, if that's the tone that you set in your organization, that you provide feedback when something goes wrong, when you walk up to your platoon, they're going to groan. Set a positive environment. Which leads me to the next thing, which I've been thinking about for a while now, and I hope you will spend some time thinking about it as well, is leaders control the weather. Dark and stormy, cold and wet, sunny and warm with a light breeze, you pick. Imagine a week of bad weather in Providence, and how do you feel after that? But imagine a year of bad weather, and what your reaction will be like that, and what does that do to you when you engage your soldiers and others? You set the climate in your organization, and the type of climate you set has consequences, and I hope that you make an effort, and it will be hard some days, I promise you, to make it as positive as you possibly can be. The next thing I'd like to talk about is storytelling. I obviously am still a work in progress, but I think it's a noble cause to work on refining your ability to tell stories. Become a master storyteller. We prefer nonfiction in the Army. And you will be more effective as a leader through storytelling and sharing vignettes with your soldiers. Tell your soldiers, hey, huddle up. This is what we're doing. These are some of the obstacles we're going to face. This is how we're going to overcome them together. And this is really why we need to do it. Motivate your soldiers through storytelling. And with that, remember, and think about this one too. Every unit you are in is the best unit ever. Right? Be ready to tell your platoon story, your personal story about your platoon, why it's the best platoon ever. And when you hear other people repeating your stories, you know you'll be successful, or you were successful. Now I want to talk about two relationships. One's with soldiers, and the other one's going to be with non-commissioned officers. Look, I have served with soldiers from the United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Korea, Germany, Italy, Norway, Sweden, Russia, Germany, right? I've served with a whole bunch of soldiers, and so will you. It's an incredible opportunity that you're going to have. I will tell you, on average, your soldiers, American soldiers in the United States Army, are the hardest working, the most innovative, the most knowledgeable, and courageous soldiers on the planet, bar none. I've had multiple deployments. I've been with them. I've been in tough situations with them, as many as you have, as well as you have. They are incredible. And they will take care of you if you take care of them. And so I have a challenge for you, something that's worked for me over the years. Make it your mission to learn your soldiers' names and where they're from in the first 30 days of any assignment. It's awkward if you don't, and I promise you, you will be forever reliant on name tapes, and it's uncomfortable. You will look down, you'll look up, and you call them by their last name. Make it personal. Leadership is intimate. Get to know them, their families, what's important to them. Write them handwritten notes on their birthdays and anniversaries. If you build relationships with your soldiers, you will solve problems before they happen. Non-commissioned officers. Staff Sergeant Roth, Sergeant First Class Morgan, First Sergeant Springer, Command Sergeant Dave Redmond. I will never forget these incredible, capable, and patient leaders. They're the reason for any success I had in my 28 years in the Army, and I will always be thankful for their counsel. Spend time developing these relationships with your non-commissioned officers, and I promise you it will serve you well. I can tell you, incredible amount of war stories on how gifted non-commissioned officers are. They are the envy of our non-commissioned officers in the United States Army are the envy of all foreign armies. There's nothing like it. Incredible knowledge, experience, and expertise. And if you don't believe me, when you're in your unit and there's a Soldier of the Year competition or month, or there's a promotion board, ask your NCO what the questions were on that promotion board. I'm telling you, I couldn't answer them. I'm just not that capable. And if I was enlisted, I would have never made it to Staff Sergeant. I'm telling you, it's an incredible corps, and rely on them and trust them. Here's some things, because Charlie told me to share some lessons learned, and I'll focus on 2, and then I'll run through the others just for you. Your professional reputation began when you joined the Patriot Battalion. It evolved as you attended schools and camps with other ROTC cadets. Anyone here ever take a 360 assessment yet? Right? Did you pay attention? Did you listen to that? Did you agree with it? Did you keep it in your back pocket? Are you thinking about it? Your reputation will continue to evolve with every assignment and every time you engage a soldier, a non-commissioned officer, and officer on or off duty. Think about the professional reputation you want to have for yourself, and cultivate it. Cultivate that reputation through your words, your actions, and your decisions. Professional network. I had no idea about how powerful professional networks were until I was a former battalion commander, and I redeployed back to the Pentagon, and I didn't know at that time if you were one of me, there was a good chance you were going to go to the Pentagon whether you wanted to or not. And what I did there was I was the Chief of Intelligence Readiness and Training for the Army G2, and I can't tell you how many emails I received from my boss's boss, a 3-star general who was the chief, the G2 for the Army, about how can I help a lieutenant colonel or a colonel whose battalion or brigade was getting ready to deploy. A year and a half prior, I formed a brand new unit, 9 months, and went to Iraq. I had no idea I could just write some general in the Pentagon and get an extra warrant officer. It was just magic to me, right? But there I was, doing whatever I could because of networks that other people developed. And so pay attention when you get to your first unit. You'll clearly see the gaps of the movers and shakers, and you'll see who you want to emulate more and make connections with them and leverage that. Foster teamwork. Lift up your soldiers, your peers, and leaders without expectation of reward or recognition. Know your job. Continuously study and refine your understanding of your role and your responsibilities as a leader. Never be satisfied because the stakes can be high, and sometimes it's too late but before you recognize that. Continuous learning. Take every advantage and opportunity, formal or informal, to learn about your profession and improve your leadership skills. If you look through my bio, and you're very gracious, every degree that I have in there was paid for by the United States Army. And they will continue to do the same for you. Let me talk about experiences. Seize every opportunity you can. You may not get another chance. Take those crazy assignments, take those schools, travel to foreign countries, and volunteer for deployments. I'll say that again. Volunteer for deployments. Don't worry too much about your career, because I promise you, if you work hard and you take care of your soldiers, your career will be just fine. And so I mentioned deployments, and I commented about it twice. And I just want to say that when I first arrived in Germany on my first duty assignment, 27 December in 1987, OPDs, Officer Professional Developments, used to be a thing. And there was a senior military officer that came in and said, you will deploy in the next 5 years. And no one believed them. No one believed them because we were already forward deployed. But lo and behold, 3 years later, we were in Iraq. And I will tell you that those are incredible experiences, and they will make lasting memories. I couldn't tell you what I did last month in my job without taking some time to really think about it. But now, if you would ask me what happened in Desert Storm in 1990 and 1991, I could tell you with incredible detail a sequence of events from when I landed on the airfield with my organization to when I redeployed. You will never forget those experiences. You will learn from them, and you will build the bonds that will last a lifetime. So I talked a little bit about leadership. It's all about people, experiences, and opportunities and relationships. Our lives revolve around the connections we form and the moments we live through. Our relationships shape our identities. Our experiences, good or bad, leave lasting impressions, influencing our perspectives and enriching our journey. I think you've chosen a noble profession that will present you opportunities, and I hope that you take advantage of that. I want to offer my sincerest congratulations and best wishes as you begin the next leg of your life's journey. It is a path less traveled, and I hope that you will find it as rewarding as I have. Thank you for choosing to serve, and thank you for what you're about to do. Now, families and guests, in my experience in 28 years in multiple deployments, it's not lost on me that when soldiers deploy, it's always most hard on the families that are left at home. They are the ones that are sitting there across the table from an empty chair. They are the ones that are alone and wondering what's going on with their soldier. So thank you for what you have done already in supporting them through this and what you're going to do in the future when they serve the Army. Thank you, Jason, for this opportunity to speak today. It's really been an honor and a privilege. To the cadets, all the best. I think you're going to have an incredible journey, rich with experiences that I hope you really take advantage of.
Thank you, sir. Since 1775, more than 41 million Americans have raised their right hand to serve America's military, the world's premier fighting force and a value-based institution closely bound to our nation and its people. This oath in the commission of a military officer is a visible symbol of their commitment and the faith entrusted to them by the people of this great nation. There exists no other profession in our society that has an obligation expressed in such simple terms, and yet so profound. Since the cold winter of Valley Forge to our current global commitments, our nation has entrusted its youth and treasures to the men and women who hold commissions as officers in the armed forces. Today's commissioning ceremony marks a transition from cadet to Army officer. 13 stand before you and raise their right hand to take the oath of office and become commissioned officers. So without further ado, at this time, commissioned class of 2024, prepare to receive the oath of office. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your full name.
I, Jason Salgado,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic, and that I bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I bear this. We do multiple oaths, so apologies. That I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation, or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties from which I'm about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations.
Please take your seats. At this time, we will begin the pinning ceremony, silver dollar salute, and a special awards presentation recognizing the hard work and accomplishments of each newly pinned lieutenant. The lieutenant's first salute is historically known as a silver dollar salute. It is a tradition in the Army. It is customary for the newly commissioned officer to present a silver dollar to the enlisted service member who renders them their first salute. The presentation of the coin symbolically acknowledges the receipt of respect due to the new lieutenant. This ritual recognizes those who have paved the way, and it is a commitment to serve with the same honor. Lieutenants, as your name is called, please come forward to become officially commissioned as second lieutenants in the United States Army and join our ranks as fellow officers. For those family members and the friends who are participating in today's pinning ceremony, when the name of your loved one is announced, please join them. For those participating in the silver dollar salute, when you hear the name of the lieutenant announced, please position yourself at the front left corner of the stage and approach the lieutenant once they have executed a right face to render their first salute. During today's ceremony, we will also be recognizing and awarding the hard work, dedication, and commitment of these young men and women. Just like the military awards soldiers for bravery, outstanding service, and achievements, our university leadership, state, and regional military supporters want to formally thank these cadets for their contributions to the Patriot Battalion's success. To our award presenters, when you hear the name of your award, please make your way to the front of the stage and assume position to the right of the lieutenant. During the presentation of awards, we kindly ask you to hold your applause until all awards are announced for each second lieutenant. And for those in attendance, please feel free to move about and take photos as the pinning ceremony proceeds. Genesis Aldana Pineda will now receive her rank insignia in the grade of second lieutenant. Pinning Genesis today are her parents, William and Flor Aldana. Genesis is receiving her commission as an active duty officer in the Adjutant General Corps with an Armor Branch detail. She will attend the Basic Officer Leadership course at Fort Moore, Georgia. Lieutenant Aldana Pineda will now receive her first salute from her former drill sergeant, United States Army Staff Sergeant Ingrid Ramirez. We would now like to recognize Lieutenant Aldana Pineda for her accomplishments and distinguished service while in the Patriot Battalion. The Distinguished Military Graduate designation is awarded by Cadet Command and presented today by Lieutenant Colonel Knaib. This prestigious designation is awarded to the top 20% of all cadets nationwide for displaying outstanding qualities of leadership, high moral character, exemplary academic achievement, superior advanced camp performance, and exceptional aptitude for military service. Second Lieutenant Aldana Pineda is also receiving the Military Order of Foreign Wars Academic Excellence Award, presented today by Lieutenant Colonel retired Cortland Clark for her outstanding leadership, loyalty, devotion to duty. And lastly, Second Lieutenant Aldana Pineda is receiving the Rhode Island College ROTC Achievement Award, presented by Interim Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs, Dr. Carolyn Masters, for attaining the highest standing of military aptitude, moral character, scholastic achievement, and leadership potential. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest lieutenant in the United States Army, Second Lieutenant Genesis Aldana Pineda. Grace Chong will now receive her rank insignia in the grade of Second Lieutenant. Pinning Grace today are her parents, Young and Hannah Chong, and her brother, Daniel. Grace is receiving her commission as an active duty officer in the Medical Corps. She was selected for an educational delay and will attend medical school at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine in New York. Lieutenant Chong will now receive her first salute from United States Army Sergeant First Class Michael Palermo. We would now like to recognize Lieutenant Chong for her accomplishments and distinguished service while in the Patriot Battalion. The Distinguished Military Graduate designation is awarded by Cadet Command and presented today by Lieutenant Colonel Kanaib. Grace is also awarded a DMG as being in the top 20% of all cadets nationwide for displaying outstanding qualities of leadership, high moral character, exemplary academic achievement, superior advanced camp performance, and exceptional aptitude for military service. Lieutenant Chong is also receiving the First Command Sabre for Leadership Excellence, presented today by First Sergeant Retired Christopher Moore and Mr. Carl Timmerman for her outstanding military leadership potential, scholastic merit, and high moral character. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest lieutenant in the United States Army, Second Lieutenant Grace Chong. Connor Dutka will now receive his rank insignia in the grade of Second Lieutenant. Pinning Connor today are his parents, Andrew and Jill Dutka. Connor is receiving his commission as a National Guard officer in the state of Massachusetts in the Military Intelligence Corps. He will attend the Basic Officer Leadership course at Fort Huachuca, Arizona. Lieutenant Dutka will now receive his first salute from his uncle, retired United States Navy Second Class Steve Williams. We would now like to recognize Lieutenant Dutka for his accomplishments and distinguished service while in the Patriot Battalion. The Bryant University ROTC Achievement Award, presented today by Associate Professor of Information Systems and Analytics, Dr. Kenneth Sousa, to Connor for attaining the highest standing of military aptitude, moral character, scholastic achievement, and leadership potential. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest lieutenant in the United States Army, Second Lieutenant Connor Dutka. Caitlin Ferreira will now receive her rank insignia in the grade of Second Lieutenant. Pinning Caitlin today are her parents, Ed and Helen Ferreira. Caitlin is receiving her commission as a reserve officer in the Engineer Corps. She will attend the Basic Officer Leadership course at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Lieutenant Ferrero will now receive her first salute from United States Army Sergeant First Class Michael Palermo. We would now like to recognize Lieutenant Ferreira for her accomplishments and distinguished service while in the Patriot Battalion. The J. Hull Family Award is being presented today by Lieutenant Colonel Kanaib on behalf of the Hull family to Caitlin, an inspiring Brown University cadet whose potential as a future officer and scholastic achievement and contribution to the overall ROTC program is recognized by a public display of support in the Hull family. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest lieutenant in the United States Army, Second Lieutenant Caitlin Ferreira. John Fullerton will now receive his rank in the insignia grade of Second Lieutenant. Pinning John today are his parents, Robert and Carolyn Fullerton. John is receiving his commission as an active duty officer in the Military Intelligence Corps. He will attend the Basic Officer Leadership course at Fort Huachuca, Arizona. Lieutenant Fullerton will now receive his first salute from a family friend, retired United States Army Staff Sergeant Joshua Dover. We would now like to recognize Lieutenant Fullerton for his accomplishments and distinguished service while in the Patriot Battalion. The Distinguished Military Graduate designation is awarded by Cadet Command and presented today by Lieutenant Colonel Kanaib. John is also awarded the DMG as being in the top 20% of all cadets nationwide for displaying outstanding qualities of leadership, high moral character, exemplary academic achievement, superior advanced camp performance, and exceptional aptitude for military service. Lieutenant Fullerton is also receiving the Class of 1999 Award, presented today by the Rhode Island State Inspector General, Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Elias, and Mr. Marco Camacho, former Army infantry officer. The commissioning class of 1999 was a tight-knit team of brothers and sisters who always looked out for one another, ensuring everyone's success by caring more about helping the team succeed than about his or her individual success. This year, the class of 1999 is awarded to John, who exemplified the value of teamwork and unquestionably upheld the legacy of the class of 1999. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest lieutenant in the United States Army, Second Lieutenant John Fullerton. Colin Fulmer will now receive his rank insignia in the grade of Second Lieutenant. Pinning Colin today are his parents, William and Roe, and his brother, Captain Ryan Fulmer. Colin is receiving his commission as a reserve officer in the Finance Corps. He will attend the Basic Officer Leadership course at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Lieutenant Fulmer will now receive his first salute from his grandfather, retired United States Marine Corporal Thomas Kane.
Not a Marine, but I still love him.
We would now like to recognize Lieutenant Fulmer for his accomplishments and distinguished service while in the Patriot Battalion. Providence College President's Trophy is being presented today by Father Kenneth Sicard. This award was established in 1958 by the Very Reverend Robert Slavin to recognize a Providence College senior cadet who demonstrated outstanding ROTC achievement, honor, character, and leadership. Second Lieutenant Fulmer is also receiving the Rhode Island Chapter Association of the United States Army Award, presented by Dr. Sherry Boucher, Lieutenant Colonel retired, and Senior Master Sergeant retired Jason Martin, to Colin for excellence in military studies, demonstrated leadership, and his overall contributions to the Patriot Battalion. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest lieutenant in the United States Army, Second Lieutenant Colin Fulmer. Samuel Hogan will now receive his rank insignia in the grade of Second Lieutenant. Pinning Samuel today are his parents, retired Lieutenant Colonel Robert and Carolyn Hogan. Samuel is receiving his commission as an active duty officer in the Military Intelligence Corps with a Field Artillery Branch detail. He will attend the Basic Officer Leadership course at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Lieutenant Hogan will now receive his first salute from his uncle, retired United States Marine Lance Corporal Ron Therault. We would now like to recognize Lieutenant Hogan for his accomplishments and distinguished service while in the Patriot Battalion. The Robert Wiseman First Infantry Division Award is being presented today by Lieutenant Colonel Knaib on behalf of the Wiseman family. This award is given in memory of Colonel Wiseman, an advocate of the ROTC College program. This award is an embodiment of his belief that quality leaders are educated, molded, and nurtured in educational instructions. Presented to a cadet who was selected for active duty and in a combat arms branch, and who has demonstrated exceptional loyalty and devotion, the ideals of the 1st Infantry Division. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest lieutenant in the United States Army, Second Lieutenant Samuel Hogan. John McNicholas will now receive his rank insignia in the grade of Second Lieutenant. Pinning John today are his parents, retired Lieutenant Colonel Stephen and Fran McNicholas. John is receiving his commission as an active duty officer in the Infantry Corps. He will attend the Basic Officer Leadership course at Fort Moore, Georgia. Lieutenant McNicholas will now receive his first salute from his former military science instructor and retired United States Army Sergeant First Class Aaron Kearns. We would now like to recognize Lieutenant McNicholas for his accomplishments and distinguished service while in the Patriot Battalion. First Lieutenant Brian McPhillips Memorial Award is being presented today by Lieutenant Colonel Knaib on behalf of the McPhillips family. Given in memory of Brian McPhillips, killed in action in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom on April 4th, 2003, as a member of the 2nd Tank Battalion, 2nd Marine Division, a Providence College alum who received his commission in the United States Marine Corps in 2000. This award is presented to John, who best exemplified the qualities of Lieutenant McPhillips and demonstrated excellence in scholastic and military studies. Second Lieutenant McNicholas is also receiving the Colonel Gerald F. Dillon and Colonel Ryan S. Dillon Providence College Reserve Officer Training Corps Award, presented today by Lieutenant Colonel Kanive on behalf of the Dillon family. John is receiving this award as a Providence College cadet who has been selected for active duty and is commissioning as an infantry officer, displaying an extraordinary level of loyalty, duty, selflessness, and a general love for military service. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest lieutenant in the United States Army, Second Lieutenant John McNicholas. Peter Monaco will now receive his rank insignia in the grade of Second Lieutenant. Pinning Peter today are his parents, Peter and April Monaco. Peter is receiving his commission as a National Guard officer in the state of New York in the Infantry Corps. He will attend the Basic Officer Leadership course at Fort Moore, Georgia. Lieutenant Monaco will now receive his first salute from his great-uncle, retired United States Army Staff Sergeant John Monaco. We would now like to recognize Lieutenant Monaco for his accomplishments and distinguished service while in the Patriot Battalion. Providence College Class of '66 Award is presented today by Lieutenant Colonel Kanive and given in memory of the Providence College Class of 1966, from which 3 graduates were killed in action in the Republic of Vietnam. Presented to a Providence College cadet who best exemplifies the values of citizenship and service to the nation. Second Lieutenant Monaco is also receiving the Captain John J. Tobin Memorial Award, which is sponsored by Captain Tobin's family and presented today by his former classmates, the Rhode Island State Inspector General, Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Elias, and Mr. Marco Camacho, former infantry officer. This award is given in memory of Captain Tobin, a native of Belmont, Massachusetts, commissioned class of 1998. Who served as an air defense and ordnance officer with a combat tour to Kosovo in 2000. Presented to Peter, who best exemplifies and displayed outstanding leadership, high moral character, and an exceptional aptitude for military service. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest lieutenant in the United States Army, Second Lieutenant Peter Monaco. Leo Pacher will now receive his rank in the grade of Second Lieutenant. Pinning Leo today are his parents, retired Colonel Leo and Betsy Pacher. Leo is receiving his commission as an active duty officer in the Military Intelligence Corps. He will attend the Basic Officer Leadership course at Fort Huachuca, Arizona. Lieutenant Pacher will now receive his first salute from his uncle, retired United States Marine Corporal Keith Pacher. We would now like to recognize Lieutenant Pacher for his accomplishments and distinguished service while in the Patriot Battalion. The Distinguished Military Graduate Award is given by Cadet Command and presented today by Lieutenant Colonel Knaib. Leo is also awarded the DMG as being in the top 20% of all cadets nationwide for displaying outstanding qualities of leadership, high moral character, exemplary academic achievement, superior advanced camp performance, and exceptional aptitude for military service. Second Lieutenant Paisher is also receiving the Brown University ROTC Achievement Award, presented today by the Program Director for Military Affiliated Students at Brown University, Mr. Christian Mack Manning, for attaining the highest standing of military aptitude, moral character, scholastic achievement, and leadership potential. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest lieutenant in the United States Army, Second Lieutenant Leo Paisher. Richard Shin will now receive his rank insignia in the grade of Second Lieutenant. Pinning Richard today are his parents, Sang Shin and Jumi Lee. Richard is receiving his commission as an active duty officer in the Transportation Corps. He will attend the Basic Officer Leadership course at Fort Gregg Adams, Virginia. Second Lieutenant Shin will now receive his first salute from United States Army Sergeant First Class Michael Palermo. We would now like to recognize Lieutenant Shin for his accomplishments and distinguished service while in the Patriot Battalion. The Grand Lodge of Rhode Island Sons and Daughters of Italy in America Award is presented today by the past state president, Mr. Don Angelo, to Richard for his loyalty and service to the Patriot Battalion. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest lieutenant in the United States Army, Second Lieutenant Richard Shin. Luke Tishio will now receive his rank insignia in the grade of Second Lieutenant. Pinning Luke today is his mother, Deborah Whalen, and his uncle, John Whalen, Jr. Luke is receiving his commission as an active duty officer in the Ordnance Corps. He will attend the Basic Officer Leadership course at Fort Gregg Adams, Virginia. Lieutenant Tishio will now receive his first salute from his grandfather, retired United States Army Staff Sergeant John Whalen. We would now like to recognize Lieutenant Tishio for his accomplishments and distinguished service while in the Patriot Battalion. The Distinguished Military Graduate Award is given by Cadet Command and presented today by Lieutenant Colonel Knaib. Luke is also awarded DMG as being in the top 20% of all cadets nationwide for displaying outstanding qualities of leadership, high moral character, exemplary academic achievement, superior advanced camp performance, and exceptional aptitude for military service. Lieutenant Tishio is also receiving the Providence College Colonel J. Gardner Conway Alum Award, presented today by Mr. J. Conway, the son of Colonel Conway. This award is presented to a superior Providence College cadet who has achieved the highest standing in terms of military attitude, moral character, holistic achievement, and leadership potential, ultimately testifying the honor and humanity of Colonel J. Gardner Conway. The Army Saber is presented to Luke in recognition of his loyalty and love to both the Patriot Battalion and the United States Army. Lastly, Second Lieutenant Tishio is also receiving the Colonel Gerald F. Dillon and Colonel Ryan S. Dillon Providence College Reserve Officers Training Corps Award, presented today by Lieutenant Colonel Kanaib on behalf of the Dillon family. Luke is receiving this award as a Providence College cadet who has been selected for active duty and is commissioning as an ordnance officer, displaying an extraordinary level of loyalty, duty, selflessness, and a general love for military service. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest lieutenant in the United States Army, Second Lieutenant Luke Tishio. John Tracy will now receive his rank insignia in the grade of Second Lieutenant. Pinning John today are his parents, John and Kathleen Tracy. John is receiving his commission as an active duty officer in the Air Defense Artillery Corps. He will attend the Basic Officer Leadership course at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Lieutenant Tracy Lieutenant Tracy will now receive his first salute from his grandfather, retired United States Army Sergeant Arthur Tracy. We would now like to recognize Lieutenant Tracy for his accomplishments and distinguished service while in the Patriot Battalion. The First Lieutenant Gregory J. Paredes Memorial Award is presented today by Lieutenant Colonel Kanaib on behalf of the Paredes family. Established on March 31st, 1988 by the Paredes family, this award is given in memory of Lieutenant Paredes, commissioning class of 1985, who gave his life in line of duty in a heroic attempt to rescue a wounded American soldier. Presented today to John, who best demonstrates scholastic excellence and traits of moral courage, selflessness, and loyalty while a member of the Patriot Battalion. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest lieutenant in the United States Army, Second Lieutenant John Tracy. Lieutenants, on your feet. To date, the Providence College Army ROTC program has commissioned 2,035 officers into the United States Army. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating the Army's newest second lieutenants. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the benediction by Father Iriarte Anduar and the playing of the Army song and the departure of the official party.
This is it. Oh.
It's right here, Father.
Let us bow our heads. As we come to the end of this ceremony, we give you, the Almighty Father, for all you have given us. Bless all who are present at the ceremony. Pour your blessings and love upon these new second lieutenants, upon their families and friends, on the various educational communities who have supported the Patriot Battalion and its member, as well as those who have served in our forces. May they serve with their commission in accordance with Army values: loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. Guide them to serve by word and example, in a humble understanding and a human heart, becoming good leaders to those who are placed below them. Bless them with wisdom and strength, with competence and faithfulness to their duties, to you and their country. Make your Holy Spirit and divine life be shown to them. May they always rely on you for their strength, your mercy, and your faithfulness. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
This concludes the formal portion of the commissioning ceremony. Thank you for all attending and for all of your continued support. Please take this opportunity to congratulate our newest lieutenants during a reception held here on the patio. Patriot Battalion, Class of 2024, you are dismissed.